The studio lights had barely warmed the air when something strange happened on today's live show. Something quiet at first, almost invisible, but powerful enough to stop an entire production team in their tracks. It began with a single look between Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos. A look so loaded with emotion that even viewers at home felt it before they fully understood it. Today's story isn't just about television or fame or another headline about America's favorite daytime couple. It's about the way love can break through the walls of routine, live cameras, and the expected rhythm of a morning show and reveal something deeply human. The opening moments of the broadcast felt ordinary. The cheerful music, the upbeat greeting, the familiar flow of light banter. But beneath that routine, something else was brewing. Something that neither the audience nor the producers could anticipate. When Kelly placed her cue cards down, her hand trembled ever so slightly. Mark noticed it first. Of course he did. He always notices. That's the thing about a partnership built over decades, a marriage forged in the fires of fame and private struggles. You learn the language of the small signals, the silent alarms. Mark leaned in, whispered something that microphones almost picked up, and Kelly tried to smile. But it wasn't the smile viewers have memorized over years of watching her navigate humor, interviews, and unexpected moments. It was a smile layered with gratitude and fear. And suddenly the tone of the show shifted. Subtle, quiet, but unmistakably real. The camera widened, the set fell silent. Even the audience seemed to hold their breath. And that's when Kelly spoke, slowly, carefully, with a softness that felt different from her usual poise. She didn't start with a joke or an anecdote or the typical lively introduction. Instead, she surprised everyone, including Mark, with words that carried an emotional weight no one saw coming. She said that sometimes life delivers moments that remind you how fragile everything is, how unpredictable, how quickly the ordinary can become extraordinary or frightening. She spoke about gratitude, about second chances, and about the people who hold us up when the rest of the world doesn't see the storm we're walking through. Mark tried to steady her, placing his hand over hers, and this time she didn't hide the trembling. That's when the audience understood that this wasn't part of a segment. This wasn't playful, rehearsed morning show vulnerability. This was real, honest, unfiltered. Kelly took a deep breath and continued. She explained that earlier this week, a private family moment had shaken her more than she expected. She didn't reveal every detail. She didn't have to. The emotion in her voice painted its own picture. Mark, sitting beside her, listened with an intensity that only someone deeply connected could have. He didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix the moment. He simply stood guard, letting her speak, letting her heart have the space it needed. Then the story unfolded, a story about fear, resilience, and the way life's unexpected turns can remind us what truly matters. She described a moment of personal worry, one that they had kept off air, one that made her reevaluate everything, from her relationship with Mark to the role she plays for millions of viewers who wake up expecting her warmth to guide them through their mornings. It was not dramatic in the sensational sense. It was dramatic in the human sense. She said there are times when the people we love go through challenges quietly, times when the world doesn't see the late-night conversations, the phone calls, the doctor's visits, the uncertainty. Mark looked down, emotion swelling in his eyes, because he knew exactly what she was referring to. He had lived it with her. He had been the reason she found strength, and perhaps she had been the reason he found his. The entire studio listened. No movement, no laughter, no cue to cut to commercial. It was as if the usual rules of television didn't apply. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, they didn't need to. This moment wasn't for ratings, or for press, or for social media clips. It was for them. A couple who had built a life together, shared a career together, raised a family together, and still found themselves humbled by the vulnerability of love. Kelly's voice cracked when she said that life delivers moments that remind you how fragile everything is, how unpredictable, how quickly the ordinary can become extraordinary, or frightening. Mark reached up and gently wiped the single tear that escaped her eye. The gesture wasn't theatrical. It wasn't for show. It was instinct, a reflex born of years of knowing her heart better than she sometimes knows it herself. What happened next wasn't scripted. Mark took a breath, sat back, and spoke from a place rarely seen on air. He thanked her, not in the casual, polite way we've all heard on television, but with sincerity that shook the room. He thanked her for standing by him during difficult days, for being his anchor, for seeing strength in him on days when he wasn't certain he had any left. He said that sometimes love isn't loud or glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet, steady, and brave. He said that the world sees them as hosts, as entertainers, but off-camera, they are two people navigating life like everyone else, with fears, hopes, whispered prayers, and long nights that end with promises to keep going. Kelly covered her face for a moment, overwhelmed. The audience clapped softly, respectfully, the kind of applause that comes not from excitement, but from empathy. And just when you thought the emotional wave had crested, Kelly lifted her head and spoke again, this time with a renewed strength. She said that the reason she chose to bring this moment into the light was not to create drama, but to remind people watching that behind every smile, behind every family, behind every relationship, there are challenges we don't see, and that love, real love, is not measured by perfection, but by presence. She said that being afraid doesn't make you weak, it makes you human, and reaching for the person you trust most isn't dependence, it's courage. The camera drew closer. The room felt smaller, more intimate. Mark leaned his forehead against hers, and for several seconds they didn't speak at all. They didn't need to. Their silence said everything. That vulnerability isn't a flaw. That true partnership is built in the fragile moments, and that sometimes the bravest thing two people can do is publicly acknowledge their private fears. Finally, Kelly exhaled and returned to the show with a soft laugh, the kind of laugh that breaks tension and brings the world back into focus. But viewers could tell something had changed, something deeper than a segment, a headline, or a trending moment. She turned to the audience and said, "Life is unpredictable. Love is precious. And today I just needed to say it out loud." Mark nodded, smiling through emotion, and added, "And I needed to hear it." The studio erupted into warmth, applause, cheers, the kind of energy that comes not from entertainment, but from connection. And just like that, the show continued. But nothing felt the same. Something beautiful had happened. Something rare, something honest. A moment where a mourning audience became family. A moment where vulnerability became strength. A moment where Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos let America see not just the hosts they admire, but the human hearts behind them. And sometimes that is the most powerful breaking news of all.
And just like that, today's story brings us to a place where emotion, honesty, and the quiet strength of love all come together. The journey of Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos isn't just another moment from a TV show, it's a reminder of the fragile corners of our own lives, the ones we often hide behind smiles and routines. Because the truth is, behind every laugh lies a story, and inside every silence, there's a secret waiting to be understood. And today, that truth stood right in front of us, unfiltered and undeniable. Now, only one question remains. What happens next? Will this quiet vow of love make their bond even stronger, or is an unexpected twist waiting just around the corner? You're probably feeling it too. This story doesn't end here. It can't. The next chapter is already forming, quietly, just out of sight. And trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next. So if you want to be the first to witness every moment of this unfolding journey, make sure you follow the channel right now. Something is coming, something that will stop you, move you, and maybe even touch your heart all over again.